Hey everyone, how's it going? Forrest here, again with another installment of my complete analysis of all of J.S. Bach's chorale harmonizations. Today we're looking at Wer du nen lieben, Gott lässt walten, which translates to whoever lets only the dear God reign. Now we actually looked at this particular text in a video a couple days ago, but this is a different harmonization in a different key, and honestly, we should just hop right into the analysis. This is a pretty straightforward one. 2 flats in the key signature. We start on C minor, we end on C major. I reckon we're in the key of C minor, even though the key signature reflects G minor or B flat major. This is just, I think, an artifact of the idea of transposed modes, which, in the Renaissance, or you might not know, but in the Renaissance, the key signature didn't accurately reflect the key for a long time. And it slowly got into favor instead of adding artificial accidentals. But in this case, Bach does a lot of stuff with melodic minor anyways, so maybe the A natural is intentional rather than necessitating the A flat. However, I don't think he uses melodic minor, at least in the context of needing to harmonize the scale in this particular chorale. In fact, the only time we get A natural as like a chord tone is here, which is really interesting because he ends up having to write the A natural in regardless because it's followed or it's preceded by an A flat. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. We start off with a 1 chord C minor and then goes to C minor again, but the voices rotate, so C, E flat, G, and C. No need to reanalyze because it's the same chord. And then we have G major over B, B, D, G, and D, which is a 5-6 chord. 1-5-6-1 is one of the most common introductory progressions in the Bach chorales. We then get another C minor chord, C, C, G, and E flat. Then we have a G major chord, G, B, G, and D. Unlike the earlier setting that we looked at a couple episodes back, this is a major 5 chord rather than a minor 5, so that's interesting. We also have a passing 7 there. We then get A flat major, A flat C, E flat, and C, which is a deceptive progression. That is our 6 chord. We then have F, F, A flat, and D, which is D diminished in first inversion. It's good that we're seeing 6 go to 2, and as we're preparing for our half cadence here, we would expect 2 to go to 5. G, D, G, and B natural, which it does. And instead of going to 1 here, which is what we would expect, we get a redundant 5 chord, turning this into a half cadence where 5 goes to 5. Same thing in the previous setting that we looked at as well. 5 to 5. No need to reanalyze. It's just a rotation of the upper 3 voices, and the bass leaps down an octave. In a similar fashion to the previous setting, we also get a direct modulation where we have this common tone, this G, that combines or that connects this G major chord to this G minor chord. However, I'm going to analyze it as a direct modulation to the relative major E flat, and this G minor is now our 3 chord. So we have the 5 major, or the major dominant in C minor, turning into the mediant in the key of E flat major, the juxtaposition of major and minor, the triad with the same root. That then goes to C minor, C, E flat, G, and B flat, more specifically C minor or C minor 7. 3 going to 6 is a good sign as well, because that's a normative chord progression. We would expect 3 to go to 6 via the cycle of falling fifths. We then get D natural, F, F, and A flat. However, if we look at this B flat here, I think this F is we could analyze, actually, now that I look at how do I want to analyze this? Well, I analyze this as a 5-6-5 chord because I look at the B flat as a chord tone, and this F is just not necessarily an accented non-chord tone because the F is part of the triad, of course, but the B flat seems like with the root of the chord here, and really this chord is heard over an entire beat rather than on the 8th note, and then there being a chord change happening on the end of the beat as well. But I think another valid analysis for this chord is just a root position 7 chord, because D diminished, D, F, F, and A flat is a logical place for 6 to go as well, just as some type of diminished chord. But regardless, it really just depends on your outlook on the matter. That just seems more natural for 6 to go to 5 than go to 1, rather than for 6 to go to 7 to go to 1. Really, it's just splitting hairs. I think both chord progressions are equally valid. But then we go to E flat major, E flat, B flat, E flat, and G, which is our root position tonic triad. Then if we look towards the cadence, I think we modulate back to the key of C minor here, and this E flat becomes our 3. We go to E flat through the 3, and then we go to C minor through the 3. That becomes a bit of a theme. It's not ultra consistent, but it's consistent enough to mention it because it happens once more later on. We then get E flats, C, G, and C. So happening on this beat right here is a C minor triad in first inversion, so 3 going to 1. Kind of an unusual progression. It's not unprecedented, but it's not the most common progression as well. We then have some passing tones in the lower voices. This F and this D, they're both non-chord tones. They go to G, E flat, G, and C. This D being an escape tone. I still haven't looked it up. I think it's called an escape tone, but it's a non-chord tone nonetheless. And we get a C minor triad in second inversion, so we go from 1-6 to 1-6-4, which we would expect to go to 5. G, D, G, and B natural. It's G major, which is our 5 chord. And then our A section ends with a perfect authentic cadence in the key of C minor, where we cadence on, well, C minor, C, E flat, G, and C. So we have 1-6 to 1-6-4 to 5 to 1. Not the most common cadential formula, but still valid. It's interesting. Alright, looking ahead, we have a perfect authentic cadence in the key of E flat major, but we don't modulate straight away. We get a couple of chords in C minor beforehand. Here we have G major, G, B, G, and D, which is a 5 chord in the key of C minor, and then we go to C minor here, C, C, G, and E flat, which is our tonic triad, which also coincidentally happens to be our 6 chord in the key of E flat major, our parallel major, or sorry, our relative major, not our parallel major. That goes to B flat, D, B flat, and F, which is a root position 5 chord, with a passing 7th in the bass. Sorry, that's what I was trying to find the words for. And that goes to E flat major in first inversion, G, E flat, B flat, and G, which is our tonic triad in first inversion. That then goes to F, E flat, B flat, and G. That would be like a chordal harmony or something like that, but this F is actually an accented non-chord tone, and we have E flat, B flat, and G, which is just taking the triad and turning it into root position. We then have A flat, E flat, C, and F, which is F minor 7 over A flat. That's 2-6-5 in the key of E flat. We know that Bach loves his 2-6-5 chords. And that goes to a 5 chord, B flat major, B flat, D, B flat, and F, with a passing 7th in the alto as well. So that's our 5 chord. And then we cadence on E flat major, E flat, B flat, G, and E flat, which is our tonic triad in root position. And as we modulate back to the key of C minor, I think we do so via common chord, E flat, B flat, and G, right here, where E flat is our mediant now. So we're seeing again a common chord here. We have really no reason to think that we're not going back to the key of E flat, so it sounds like a fresh E flat here until what's contextualized afterwards. So we get F, E flat, A flat, and F. And you might be tempted to call this a 4-7 chord, because F, A, and E flat is an incomplete F minor 7 chord. However, I think this E flat is a 7-6 suspension over the bass. This D flat, F, and A flat, which makes a little bit more sense. This would be a D flat diminished chord, which is 2-6. 3 going to 2 is a pretty unusual progression. It's not unprecedented, I don't believe, but you don't see it very commonly. But ultimately both chords are functioning the same way. It's just I think the D is our root here, and the C is just a suspension. But then we go to an interesting chord. We have this not chromatically ascending, but this linear bass line, where we get the F sharp, C, A natural, and E flat, which is F sharp fully diminished 7th. That would be a leading tone chord, a secondary dominant of 5, because F sharp is the leading tone to G, which is our dominant. And this A is a chord tone, so no need to remark it as a non-chord tone. We then go to G major, which is where we would expect this chord to go anyways. G, D, B natural, and D. With 2 passing tones. This E is the 6th, and this F is the 7th, so a little bit of 7th action in there as well. before we go to A flat, E flat, C, and C. So we have another 5-6 progression in the key of, or 5 to 6 dominant to submediate progression in the key of C minor, just like how we had in the first phrase. This G is a passing tone, this D is a passing tone, before we get another F sharp diminished 7th chord, F sharp, A, C, and E flat, which is still analyzed the same way, 7, 7 at 5. And then we have a couple of passing tones. I guess you could make the argument that this B, oh no, never mind, sorry, there's no D, I don't know what I'm thinking when I'm saying that, that B would have no way of being a chord tone. This is just a little C minor or C melodic minor fragment action going on. But this B is a passing tone, this C is a chord tone, so no need to mark that. And then we get G major again with the B natural here in the tenor. G, B, G, and D with a passing 7th in the alto. So 7, 7 of 5 going to 5 like we would expect. And then of course our chorale ends in a perfect authentic cadence with the tonic triad that is major, because this is a minor chorale, and Bach has more or less conventionalized the, in his chorales at least, the ending of a minor chorale with a major chord just ending on an uplifting note. I imagine it's because it was the last movement of the chorale and he wants to end on that more pleasant sound. Not that minor isn't pleasant to listen to, but it's just the sending the people off with a better vibe than they started the chorale with, which was minor and very gloomy. But regardless, that is the analysis for today. Pretty straightforward, all things considered. A couple of interesting quirky progressions. 3 going to 2 is kind of interesting. 2 occurrences of 7, 7 of 5 happening in close proximity to one another is interesting. 1, 6 to 6, 4 to 5 is an interesting progression, but all in all the harmony functioned the way that we would expect it to, so not too much interesting subject matter to talk about in that regard. I'd say probably the shakiest analysis is right here, this chord, whether it's 5, 6, 5, or 7, but that's really splitting hairs, and I think both are valid analyses depending on how you hear the chord and how you see the chord as a unit in the grander scheme of the harmonic rhythm. I sided with 5 over 7 just because the B flat is there, but like I said, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. They're really the same thing. On that note, I'm going to end the video. Thank you so much for watching this video in particular. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm really excited to see that the channel is growing in terms of subscribers. It makes me so happy that people are watching the videos and enjoying them. People are going along on this journey with me to analyze all the chorale harmonizations. It's really exciting. Regularly getting comments on the videos as well, which makes me so happy, and people have really insightful things to say, so thank you so much for your insight. Please keep the insights coming. If they're not, if you have things to say, don't feel afraid to share. I'd be more than happy to communicate with you through the comment section, or maybe there'll be some other people who will beat me to the punch. But that being said, if you have an alternative analysis that I did not acknowledge in the video, please leave a comment and I'll get to it when I try to get to them pretty quickly, but I'll get to it when I get to it. Okay, for reals this time, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I look forward to tomorrow's analysis, and I hope you take care.